Suppose I told you that a prophecy written over 2,500 years ago precisely described today's tensions between Iran and Israel. Would you be ready to explore it? While many believe Middle Eastern conflicts are driven purely by politics, the Bible, the oldest and yet most accurate book, clearly states, Iran, known as Persia, will be one of the nations forming an alliance to confront Israel in a global-scale conflict. Is that just a coincidence? Or is it compelling evidence that the Bible truly foresaw the future of humanity? Today we'll uncover the prophecy in Ezekiel chapter 386, verse 5. One of the clearest and most profound revelations about major end-time events. What makes this prophecy so unique is that it doesn't speak in vague or symbolic terms. It directly names Persia, a region aligning with a modern nation in the Middle East. It doesn't stop there. This Bible passage also describes how that region will unite with many others to form an alliance against Israel. Why does this matter? Because it doesn't just point to a single event. It opens up a much larger picture of God's divine program where every region, every global shift is under His purposeful control. And if this prophecy is true, then you and I must ask, where do we stand in this unfolding story? It's no coincidence that the pieces of history and current events are aligning just as the Bible outlined long ago. When you understand this prophecy, you'll no longer see Middle Eastern politics the same way. You'll witness the hand of God at work, subtly yet unmistakably. This isn't just a lesson in religion or history. It's a chapter in the grand design of the Creator. Every nation, every global decision, every emerging alliance plays a part in completing the prophetic picture recorded in Scripture. And more importantly, these prophecies are not just for one people, they're for you. If God has revealed such detailed glimpses of what's to come, then it's a personal invitation for you to awaken, reflect, and discover the path of life He has prepared. The author of this prophecy is Ezekiel, a man who was not only a prophet but also a priest from the tribe of Levi. He lived and preached during one of Israel's darkest times, the period of exile in a foreign land. Around 597 BC, the kingdom of Judah was conquered by a powerful Eastern empire, and many were taken from their homeland. Ezekiel was among them. The people were confused, disoriented, and felt abandoned by God. In the midst of that darkness, Ezekiel began receiving visions from the Lord, not only about the current situation, but about future global events. One of those visions was of a massive conflict in the end times, later known as the Battle of Gog and Magog. So from chapter 38 onward, Ezekiel describes a coalition of territories uniting to oppose Israel, a small but restored and divinely protected nation. One of the regions named is Persia. This stands out because in Ezekiel's time, that region was not yet a dominant power as it would later become. Ezekiel's direct mention of this region reveals that the prophecy didn't come from political observations. It came through divine revelation. This adds depth and credibility to the prophecy. We must also understand that Ezekiel's era was one of shaken faith and lost hope. In that moment, a prophecy about the future, not only of national restoration but of global events, became a beacon of hope in their darkness. At that time, empires like Assyria and the Eastern Kingdom were dominant. Persia had not yet risen, but Ezekiel's prophecy transcended its era, painting a prophetic image that stands the test of time. Today, the land once called Persia is now a modern nation with significant influence in the Middle East, frequently involved in regional tensions. What Ezekiel saw and recorded did not just strengthen the faith of his contemporaries. It helps you and me today realize the Bible is not vague. Every verse provides guidance, illumination, and a wake-up call for this generation. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5. Persia, Ethiopia, and Put will go with them. Original meaning. In the Hebrew text, Persia clearly refers to the land corresponding to modern-day Iran. Ethiopia likely refers to the ancient land of Kush, covering areas like modern Sudan and Ethiopia. Put is understood as Libya or much of North Africa. These three nations represent strategic regions south and west of Israel. These nations are regions that historically or even today hold differing stances toward Israel on regional matters. Notably, Ezekiel doesn't describe them acting independently, but rather moving in agreement under a leading power from the north, possibly tied to a coalition led by Russia or nations in the Caucasus region. In real-world context, Iran is one of the nations that has publicly expressed opposition toward Israel's presence. For years, Iran has reportedly engaged in indirect activities to support groups that do not agree with Israel's position, through coordination, funding, or organizational assistance to various entities in the region. Additionally, Libya, Sudan, and Ethiopia have experienced extended political turmoil. The rise of certain extremist movements in these regions has led many analysts to suggest that a temporary alignment among these countries could impact regional stability and create pressure on Israel. More importantly, Ezekiel describes that God himself will intervene when these forces approach the mountains of Israel. Scripture says there will be great natural events, earthquakes, hail, fire from heaven, and these forces will descend into internal chaos. This is when God reveals his authority before all nations. Victory in this passage does not come from human technology, but from divine intervention to show that God is actively and powerfully protecting his people. When you connect the dots, 1. Iran is specifically mentioned in the Bible. 2. Iran's actual movements in the region. 3. The rise in geopolitical tension. 4. And the emerging regional alliances. Then it becomes clear. Ezekiel chapter 38 is not a vague religious metaphor, it is a purposeful warning. And if these events are truly unfolding, then you and I cannot stay indifferent. The prophecy isn't just for knowledge, it's a call to prepare our hearts, strengthen our faith, and live watchfully for the day when God completes his plan. Many people say, maybe this is just a historical coincidence. But what kind of coincidence gets written down thousands of years in advance? When we place Ezekiel's prophecy beside today's Middle Eastern events, the so-called coincidence becomes too precise. The Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in 1947, contain ancient manuscripts dating back to the 2nd century BC. Among them are major prophetic books, including Ezekiel. This proves that the prophecy mentioning Persia, modern Iran, existed long before Israel was re-established in 1948. In addition, current political and military reports indicate that Iran has not only voiced opposing views toward Israel in theory, but has also carried out actions intended to influence the region's balance of power. This is not speculation. It's confirmed by multiple international sources. The alliance described by Ezekiel, including countries to Israel's northwest and south, is forming in surprising ways, both diplomatically and strategically. Every time tensions rise between Iran and Israel or a new regional partnership forms, we see this ancient prophecy become more vivid and thought-provoking. But most importantly, the prophecy isn't just about geopolitics, it's a message about God's active intervention. It's no coincidence that nations with opposing stances toward Israel will ultimately not prevail. God is still guiding history according to his will. But you may ask, what does this have to do with me, a person far from the Middle East with no political involvement? Friend, it has everything to do with you. Because if this prophecy has been fulfilled down to the details, it also proves that God forgets nothing he has promised. He is the God who keeps his word. And if he keeps it with Israel, he'll keep it with you. Jesus once said in Matthew 24 that when events unfold as they do in Ezekiel, it's a sign the end times are near. So prophecy is not just for knowing, but for living. Living with awareness, with hope, and with faith. We are not called to fear global shifts, but to trust that God is still in control of history and that He's in control of your life too. If you're seeking something firm in this ever-changing world, the Bible's prophetic words are your reliable compass. In summary, the prophecy of Ezekiel chapter 38 verse 5 reveals at least 3 key truths. First, the Bible is not just an ancient book, it is a prophetic one, seeing beyond human ideologies. Second, all historical changes are unfolding as God foretold. And third, He is still in control from nations to individuals. If you found this video opened your eyes to see the Bible in a fresh light, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it. That's how you help others discover the truth hidden beneath today's noise. Or leave a comment below. Which prophecy in the Bible amazed you most? And what convinces you that the Bible still speaks powerfully today? To see you in the next videos, where we continue to decode the prophecies unfolding right before your eyes.